Why? Why? Like, I think, as crazy as it sounds, the only way to do this and look like you have a heart is evaluate people on a case-by-case basis.
Picking them up first. You know what? I just thought about it. I'm gonna pick them up. I'm gonna slam them. I'm gonna let them get back up. Then I'm gonna hit them.
When Joe Rogan finally addressed the Rampage Jackson incident that went viral, the reaction online wasn't what people expected. Instead of joining the outrage, Joe calmly reminded everyone, "You have to look at these things case by case." By then, millions had already seen the shocking footage Rampage Jackson, son of UFC legend Quinton Rampage Jackson, slamming independent wrestler Seiko Stu at a small KnockX Pro event, then throwing punches as the crowd begged someone to stop it. The video spread everywhere, ESPN segments, wrestling podcasts, endless Twitter debates calling for arrests. Lapt confirmed there was an active felony battery investigation. WWE even removed Knox branding from its pages. Fighters weighed in too. Some demanded lifetime bans, others blamed head trauma or bad officiating. So when Joe finally spoke, many thought he'd tear into Rampage Jackson. But instead, he urged patience, wait for the medical reports, hear from investigators, and get the full story before passing judgment. For Joe, both as a former fighter and longtime commentator, this wasn't about defending anyone. It was about making sure one viral clip didn't replace facts, medical updates, or promoter responsibility. And with that, the entire debate shifted.
I mean, how could they ever come back from any of this? And so imagine this.
Before Joe Rogan ever weighed in, the video had already exploded online. It happened on August 9, 2024, at the KnockX Pro Wrestling Academy in Sun Valley, California. A small independent show was being live-streamed to a modest audience. On the card, 20-year-old Rampage Jackson, son of UFC legend Quinton Rampage Jackson, set to face veteran indie wrestler Seiko Stu Smith. No titles, no big storyline, just a standard exhibition. But what happened shocked everyone. Witnesses say it started with a hard body slam, the kind wrestlers usually know how to handle. This time, though, Stu stayed down, not moving. Instead of stopping, Raja kept going, throwing more than 20 punches before referees and other wrestlers finally dragged him off. The entire thing was live, then clipped and blasted across Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. By nightfall, millions had seen it. Lapt confirmed they were investigating it as a possible felony battery case. Paramedics rushed Seiko Stu to the hospital with head and neck injuries. KnockX Pro Wrestling put out a short statement, saying they were working with authorities. That was the backdrop Joe Rogan stepped into, a viral firestorm, fans demanding punishment, and plenty of unanswered questions about what really happened and who should be held accountable.
Why? Like, I think, as crazy as it sounds, the only way to do this and look like you have a heart is evaluate people on a case-by-case basis.
When Joe Rogan finally spoke, many expected him to unleash outrage. The video looked awful, a young fighter hammering a motionless opponent while the crowd begged for help. Online, the judgment was already in. Most people wanted Rampage Jackson banned for life or even arrested, but Joe took a different approach. Speaking calmly, he said, "You've got to look at these things case by case." For someone known for blunt takes, his restraint caught people off guard. He admitted the footage was disturbing, but stressed that one viral clip shouldn't decide the whole story. Too many questions were still unanswered. Was the opponent already concussed? Why was there no proper medical oversight? Where were the referees and organizers who should have stepped in sooner? Joe's point was clear: context matters. He wasn't defending Raja, but he wasn't ready to join the pylon either. He argued that investigators needed medical reports, witness statements, and a full account of what happened before anyone could judge whether this was a crime, a medical emergency gone wrong, or something in between. And coming from Joe Rogan, a man who spent decades calling fights that call for patience carried weight.
Right. I think what's happening is this over-sensationalized push of, one side being bad and one side being good.
While Joe Rogan urged patience, the wrestling world was in turmoil. Doug the Epic Mallow, one of the wrestlers who rushed in to stop the attack, told reporters it was the scariest thing he'd ever seen in the ring. He said that once Seiko Stu stopped moving, the atmosphere shifted instantly. According to Doug, if he hadn't stepped in when he did, the outcome could have been far worse. KnockX Pro Wrestling put out a brief statement confirming the incident was under investigation and that they were cooperating with police. They avoided mentioning Rampage Jackson directly, citing the ongoing case, but promised to review safety protocols at their events. Online, reactions exploded. On Reddit's Squared Circle forum, debates raged over whether this was a tragic accident or a criminal act. Wrestling Twitter lit up, with some fans demanding Raja be banned for life. Independent wrestling podcasts joined in, with some hosts calling it a shoot gone wrong wrestling slang for when things turn real, while others blamed promoters for letting an inexperienced, possibly concussed fighter work such a physical segment in the first place. And then came the protests. A week after the incident, fans gathered outside the Knox Academy, holding signs and demanding stricter safety rules. Local news outlets aired interviews with supporters calling for mandatory medical clearances before every match. Independent wrestlers soon began sharing their own stories: unsafe rings, untrained referees, promoters cutting corners by skipping EMT coverage to save money. The outrage pushed Joe Rogan's call for stronger oversight into the mainstream. By then, even wrestling podcasts that rarely touched regulation were demanding that state athletic commissions step in to oversee independent wrestling, the same way they do with amateur boxing.
Prosecutors are likely going to look at is battery causing serious bodily injury, which is found in the California Penal Code section 243D. In this case, a serious bodily injury.
As the video spread and demands for accountability grew louder, legal and medical experts began weighing in, and many echoed Joe Rogan's point about taking a case-by-case approach. Under California law, felony battery charges can apply if serious bodily harm is caused through unlawful force. A former prosecutor told KTLA that if Seco Stu's medical reports showed lasting damage, felony charges were possible. But intent mattered just as much. Was this a deliberate attack, or did a medical issue play a role? Neurologists speaking to CBS Los Angeles raised another concern: head trauma before the match. Rampage Jackson later confirmed his son had suffered a concussion not long before the event. Doctors explained that post-concussion symptoms can cause confusion, mood swings, or delayed reactions. That didn't excuse the violence, they stressed, but it did help explain why Raja might not have stopped when Seco Stu went down. Joe Rogan referenced both points on his podcast. He reminded listeners that in combat sports, strict medical clearances are mandatory. Blood work, brain scans, and ringside doctors are required before anyone competes. Independent wrestling, however, often skips those safeguards. For Joe, that was the real issue. Too many safety protocols had failed before the first punch was ever thrown, making it one more reason not to rush to.
Who is Rampage? He's like a
bro.
wrestler.
This boy getting more clout by dudes tonight than girls.
Hey, respectfully, shut the fuck up.
You're right. 100%.
No handshake on that.
All right, respect.